All right, so today we've got a tie rod end. So this is the piece that goes from the steering rack out to the knuckle and actually turns the wheels. So this is maybe I'll put like a diagram up on the thing or whatever. But this is basically hooking on to the metal just behind the wheel called the knuckle, and it pulls back and forth to move the wheels like this. So there's a piece of metal. So like if this is the wheel here, right? Stand in for a wheel. All right, so if this is the wheel, right, there's going to be a piece of metal back here called the knuckle, right, that's going to sit back behind, that's going to house the bearing that goes through the wheel, right? And then typically there's a little tab that sticks out the back that these tie rods tie into, and then there's pivot points up here and down here called the ball joints, right? And this pulls back and forth to actually steer the car. And of course it needs to have some flex in it because the suspension, as it goes up and down, this needs to be able to ride up and down with it, right? So the angle of this is changing a little bit. So this needs to be able to have some range of motion to be able to compensate for that. So pretty simple device, just a cast, looks like cast steel. I don't think that's iron. We'll find out here in a bit. We'll drill it and see if it's steel or iron. And then up here we've got a ball joint that's fairly stiff. Not too bad, actually. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put it in the vise, and you can see it's pressed in from this end, and I'm going to give it a whack up here and see if I can get it to pop out the bottom. And then we'll have a look inside and see how this is constructed. I think we did one of these before. Oh, here's a classic thing with these. Torn boot. So the grease is just gonna leak out eventually, and the thing's gonna fail because of that. But normally this one actually feels pretty good. Normally there's a little bit of play in them. So what happens is the ball wallows out, and then this piece can move in and out this way is how you check them for play. But anyway, I'm gonna go whack it apart. All that'll become more apparent here in a second. All right, finally apart. So we've got the boot here, which of course was torn. So here's the ball joint. If I can show you this. So, just like the old one, it's just a hardened steel ball. I'm going to guess that that's hardened. Get a file here and see. Well, even the 40 is digging into it fairly easily. I mean, I would say it's in the ballpark of a 40 to 50, somewhere above that. Actually, that kind of makes sense because you don't want this to be a brittle part. You want it to be fairly pliable. So that's probably why they have it riding in... Oh, no, where'd it go? I wanted to have a look at the plastic. All right. That's probably why they have it riding in this little plastic sleeve. Feels kind of like nylon. A very stiff nylon. But that's all that's going on here is we've got this ball that's greased sitting in this housing, which I think based on how it cut, I'm going to say it's definitely steel. Normally cast iron, you get tiny little chips that come out of it, but this you can see holds together pretty well, so definitely steel. And then that sits in that housing there, and then there was a back cap, which I have no idea where it went flying when I hit it with the hammer. And that's it, just protected by a boot, and it's got grease. Some of these actually will have a Zerk fitting on the back. That allows you to pump grease in around this thing. This part is OEM off of, I think, an 2011 Accord. And this has over 200,000 miles on it, and there was no play. So where the play typically develops, get that back out of there. where the play typically develops is going to be kind of an axial play like that. So that's where it will show signs. So when you get under the car or whatever, grab this guy and try and jerk it up and down, back and forth like this, where that sticks out, and that's where you're going to feel the play on it. And this one just didn't have any play. I mean, it felt like new, basically. So I don't know if that's down to the grease that they use, or, I mean, it's obviously not that the metal's hardened, because that's pretty soft. Yeah, 200,000 miles on it, still felt pretty good. We replaced it because we were in there anyway, type of thing. Yeah, that's a tie rod end. I'm still shocked that that's all there is on the back end of this, is just a piece of plastic that thing's riding on. But anyway, thanks for watching.